Ariel, thank you so much for joining me today.
It is my joy and pleasure to be back here with you, Risa.
Today, we are going to focus on a very important topic, and that is sleep and the lack thereof. I think we're kind of at a pretty bad crisis level these days. Especially, I think it was bad before the pandemic, and now that the pandemic, hopefully, we're on the other side of this pandemic. But I think everybody knows somebody who does not sleep enough or well enough, and I feel like, when we were younger, right? It was like, oh, I don't need any sleep. I can power through, and I can do great, and I can function, and all this kind of stuff. And it turns out that's actually not really a good thing. Is that right?
Very true. Yeah, those who say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, believe me, if you want to be dead sooner, not sleeping is a great way to get there.
Very fast, right? So
Yeah,
what
well,
is
faster than you might otherwise. Sleeping can increase your chance of heart conditions. It can change your weight gain, your metabolism, your cognitive function. Really, not sleeping is not good for you.
It's kind of crazy. I think we really underestimate, right? The value of sleep. So, so what? Why is it so important for us to get good quality sleep?
So, sleep is really the restore and rejuvenate system of your brain and body. So, sleep isn't just this kind of useless state that we end up in for 4 to 8 hours a day, those of us who are lucky at eight. Sleep is really something that is there to regenerate your body and your mind. And on the brain side, you actually end up doing important things like cleaning out your brain, improving your cognitive function, and improving your emotional self regulation. And we can dive a little bit more into each of those. On the body side, you do things like recharge your cellular batteries, your ATP, which is the energy currency of your body. You are able to improve your hormone regulation, increase your cardiac function, your heart rate, your respiratory rates. Everything that helps your body function needs to be reset by sleep each and every night. And not only any sleep, but the right amount of sleep and a good quality of sleep.
I feel like these days it's kind of an impossible task, to be honest. Um, I think many of us want to get the sleep. So let's kind of go back and um, dig in a little bit deeper, like you said. So when you say clear out our brain, right? What do you mean by that?
I mean it very literally. So, you may have heard of the lymph system in your body, a system of fluids that move things around your body. In your brain, you have something called the glymph system, and the glymph system is a series of liquids and pipes, essentially, mechanisms of moving fluid through your brain, and in doing so, cleaning out unneeded elements of your brain. As your brain communicates neurochemically, it's sending chemical messengers. You don't want this to sort of sit at the cell. The brain has mechanisms to put all of the chemicals back in the right place. Some of that happens in sleep, some of that happens throughout the day as you use it. And one of the most important functions of the glymph system relative to sleep and cognitive function seems to be that the glymph system even does things like flush out amyloid beta. So you may have heard of a little disease called Alzheimer's. And one of the elements of Alzheimer's disease is the accumulation of these beta amyloid plaques in the brain, an aggregation of this little molecule that then jams up your brain system and makes it hard for neurons to communicate together. Well, the glymph system that's active highly at night actually flushes out amyloid beta from the brain. It's hypothesized that that's one of its functions. And when it does so, potentially decreases your chance of Alzheimer's. So, of the trillions of mechanisms going on in your brain at one moment during sleep, that is just one of them. So you can imagine some of the other functions that may be going on to really maintain your cognitive function.
Right. And so cognitive function, so like when we feel brain fog in the morning if we haven't had a good night's sleep, that's what you're referring to, right? Being
Sure.
sharp.
And yeah, cognitive function has lots of elements. So, one is memory. And while you sleep, you are consolidating your memories. So, throughout your day, you have a whole bunch of experiences. Those experiences light up your neurons to wire together one to the other. And then over the course of the night, your brain replays some of those experiences and chooses which ones to wire together more tightly and which ones to actually forget. So throughout the night in deep sleep and possibly also in REM sleep, we go through this process of consolidating our memories, strengthening those connections through the day, playing them against the existing information in our brain to organize and sort them, and even targeted forgetting, so that your brain says, okay, well, you don't need to remember tomorrow where you parked yesterday because that might just be confusing. You'd end up at yesterday's spot rather than today. So we're going to forget about where you parked. That doesn't matter. But we're going to remember the memory you had with your grandmother when you were at her dinner party last night. We're going to remember this piece of information that you learned. And we're going to throw out the names of those 5 people who weren't really important to you, unfortunately. So, yeah, memory is one big piece. Another big piece is reaction times. So, you know how quick and sharp your brain is. When you don't sleep, your reaction time dramatically decreases, as does your overall IQ. So there was a great study by Dr. Adrian Owen. He did one of the largest studies of cognitive function relative to sleep. And he demonstrated that missing out on sleep, 6 hours or less, for a few nights can decrease your IQ by 9 points.
For a few nights? A few nights it decreases like that?
If you miss 1 or 2 nights sleep, it can decrease your IQ by 9 points. Now, it turns out that a good night's sleep will then, again, restore that IQ. But when you feel like you're not so sharp when you didn't sleep well, it's true.
Wow, that's crazy. And physically, so what's physically happening on a cellular level when we're not getting enough sleep?
Many things. So one of the biggest things that happens is the inability for ATP to, which is the energy currents of your brain, to recharge itself, for your mitochondria to kind of take that rest that they need and then continue functioning effectively, so that you have really imbalanced sugar responses the next day, changed insulin sensitivity, and you're not processing and using your energy as effectively, which is why we end up with things like feeling more tired and potentially gaining more weight or making it harder to lose weight. So that's one major system that is thrown off. And
Wow.
then in your brain itself, your brain communicates electrochemically. So when we have the sort of stages of sleep, you start first with kind of falling asleep and going into a nice alpha rhythm, which is a slower brain state. When you fall deeply asleep, you enter into a delta rhythm, which is this very slow kind of coordinated brain state where your whole brain is oscillating or responding to the oscillation of this rhythm. And when you don't end up going through these predictable stages of sleep, you end up not getting the benefit of all of your brain synchronizing together in that way that it may do in delta sleep, or the memory consolidation and refiring from neuron to neuron that you might get as you look through memories and, you know, file through the contents of your imagination like you do during REM sleep. And so there's like actual cellular changes as a result of both the chemical changes as well as the not getting the proper electrical synchronization.
Wow. So when you say, so we need a minimum, I mean, I've heard it's 7 to 9 hours proper sleep. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I would agree with that. So every person is different. For some people, 7 hours is sufficient. For some people, it's 7.5. For most people, it's 8. For some, it's 9. And if you're sleeping 10, that also becomes unhealthy. So sleeping way too long is unhealthy, as is sleeping way too short. So you want to target somewhere in the 7 to 9 hours, with 8 really being a sweet spot for many. Now, as you age, you sleep less at night. And so what might have been originally an 8 hour sleep, by the time you're 65, 70, may be 6.5 hours of sleep, which is why older adults tend to nap in the afternoon to make up that sleep, which they still need, but which their body is not as efficient at maintaining at night.
oh, interesting. So is there such a thing? Is like catching up on your sleep a real thing? Like I'll catch up on the weekends. You know, like I can't sleep that much during the week because I'm partying too much or I'm doing too much, but I'll catch up on Saturday. Is that an
Catching up is
actual thing? Will that help or?
Yes and no. So catching up on your sleep does help. As I mentioned, that just one good night of sleep can restore some of that cognitive function. So if you're highly underslept, of course, yes, catch up. But that is not the way that you want to play the game, because you are never going to be able to catch up just from a weekend of good sleep and repeated weeks of bad sleep. You're going to be much better off overall if you maintain good sleep consistently. And when we talk about how to get good sleep, consistency really is the key. So if you're sleeping just a very little bit during the week and then binging on sleep on the weekends, you are wreaking absolute havoc to your circadian rhythms, which is another part of your body that governs your hunger, weight loss, satiety, alertness, etc. So yes, you gain some benefit from catching up, but you're also doing a lot more damage with this very variable schedule.
So what do we need to do? I mean, there are certain things, right? We do need to sleep 7 to 9 hours, but how do we create a lifestyle that first, for people, especially for people who suffer from insomnia or, have problems sleeping, what can they do aside from like just going to bed and trying to sleep? What can they do to try to enhance an atmosphere or condition their bodies to be able to then fall asleep, as opposed
Sure.
to, because we also don't want people getting stuck on, meds and that sort of thing, which I know is also a problem in this country.
Yes. So the first thing to do is to prioritize sleep. To say, okay, sleep is important to me. I do want to be sleeping better. I'm going to make the time and space to do that. And you hearing that, you might even have some resistance coming up, but know that when you actually make the time and space to sleep, you can sleep more efficiently, and you can really get the benefit of being well rested and having a very productive next day. So taking that time to prioritize sleep is actually an investment which is going to pay dividends in better, more productive, more attentive, more alive, more engaged days. So don't feel like it's a waste of time. Once you've decided to prioritize that sleep, what you want to be doing is choosing a wake time and a sleep time that are about 8 hours apart that you can maintain consistently. Because our bodies, just like most other systems, can be trained and trained really effectively. And that training to go to sleep actually begins not at nighttime when you're like, oh my God, I gotta sleep. It begins in the morning. So in the morning, you want to get up, open all of your curtains right at your appointed time, let the sun shine in your face, and really begin to set your circadian rhythm early in the morning. And we can dive more deeply into circadian rhythm if you'd like.
So how important is circadian rhythm? And especially as the seasons change and stuff, right? It gets a little bit tricky.
Absolutely. So circadian rhythm is key to sleep. You actually have two different systems that govern sleep in your brain and body. One is circadian rhythm, and the other is sleep pressure. So what circadian rhythm is, it's the 24-hour cycle that governs when you sleep, when you eat, and wake. It also governs when you eat and anything that falls in a predictable timing throughout the day. So you want to set your circadian rhythm by light. And circadian rhythm works on a hormone called melatonin, which many of you may have taken to help you sleep. So melatonin begins to rise when it's dark outside, and it rises about 90 minutes before what should be your bedtime. So, in the old caveman days, it would be evening time. The lights would, around the world, around you, would begin to dim. The sun was setting. That begins to kick open your melatonin tap. Melatonin then becomes high 90 minutes later, which makes you feel very sleepy. Melatonin is the sleepiness hormone. Throughout the night, it's pitch dark, which is going to maintain very high melatonin. In the morning, the sun begins to rise. Even through your closed eyelids, you receive some light rays through your eye, and that begins to turn down the melatonin tap, which then makes you more and more alert. You open your eyes, there's sun, melatonin's turned off, and you're awake and ready for the day. So this is circadian rhythm. And the thing about your circadian rhythm is that you can set it with light in your eyes in the morning, and you can maintain it by shutting yourself down at the same time each night, making it dim. So one great trick to help regulate is choose your bedtime and then dim your lights 90 minutes before. Even 60 minutes before is okay. So when you are getting ready to go to bed at 10 p.m. and you want to be in bed and asleep at 10:15, don't just have all the bright lights in your house and then turn them off, jump into bed at 10 and expect to be asleep. You want to dim your lights at 8:39, start to be in a more relaxing environment. Put away screens if you can, because blue light is particularly stimulating to melatonin, so you want to reduce as much blue light as you can. And start to have that natural rise in melatonin so that by the time 10 p.m. comes around, your melatonin has risen. You're lying in bed, you close your eyes, you make it dark in your room, close those blinds, wear a sleep mask if you want. It's nice and dark, your melatonin's high, and you will naturally more effectively sleep.
Wow. So what do you say about, as we get older, or as I get older, I'm getting up multiple times in the night to go to the bathroom or whatever. I'm also a light sleeper, so anything will just wake me up. How detrimental is that to our body? Is that like just starting over again? Or I don't generally have problems falling back asleep. Sometimes I do. But what can we do about that?
Sure. So it's, of course, better not to wake up that often through the night. And if you do wake up, not to get out of bed. And if you do get out of bed, not to, be very awake. So the first thing you want to do is limit your fluid intake 3 hours before you go to bed. So if you're somebody who gets up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, really stop drinking 3 hours before bedtime. And you can even train your body to some degree to not have to go in the night. So, you might try holding it in for a few nights and just falling back asleep and seeing if your body can naturally reset. If you do have to get up, that's okay. We're human. These things happen. Try to maintain a sleepy state. Don't turn on any lights. Stumble to the bathroom. Stumble back to bed. When you're waking up in the night, if you're waking up in the second half of sleep, it is less disruptive than in the first half. So in the architecture of our sleep, the cycles that our brain goes through throughout the night, in an 8-hour sleep, typically the first 4 hours will be more deep sleep focused, and the last 4 hours will be more REM focused. So you go from awake to stage 1 sleep, light sleep, stage 2 sleep, down into deep sleep. You might have a little zip back up, down into deep again, up, down, and deep, and so you're going to get really nice deep sleep. Then in phase 2 of your night, you're going to get your REM sleep, and so in REM, we are in a state where we're more readily awakened. And if we're awakened during REM sleep, it is less disruptive to our sleep and our body. And actually, a lot of people naturally awaken a little bit between REM cycles, and you may not even remember it. It's, those times when you turn over, you open your eyes, you close them, you cuddle in the blanket, and you're back asleep. So if you are somebody who is a mom, like I am, I have a small child, so I'm not sleeping as effectively as I normally do by choice because I need to be up for her. In those cases, I'm prioritizing getting full sleep for the first 4 to 5 hours of my night so I can get my consolidated good deep sleep. And then when I'm waking up, I aim to do that, to wake up to feed her in the next 4 hours, when I know it's less disruptive to my cycle, to be able to wake up for a few minutes and get back to sleep.
Oh, interesting. That's fascinating. So meditation and sleep. If you meditate, I know it's not the same as sleeping, but if you have problems sleeping, is it better to help you to go to sleep, or can it also be like a sleep substitution if you're not getting good restful sleep?
Totally. So meditation and sleep are not the same. There are some people that say that, meditation is just as good as sleep to restore the brain. Not actually true. But if you're not sleeping, meditation may be the next best thing. And meditation can really efficiently help you sleep. So one of the main reasons that people don't sleep, you're lying there, and what does everybody say? I can't shut off my brain. The thoughts just keep going. I just keep thinking I can't sleep, or I'm feeling so anxious. So what meditation can do is to train your brain to let go of those thoughts and come to a place of peaceful equanimity, which makes sleep much, much, much easier. And in fact, as we were building Muse, we went and asked people when the most common times that they were using it were and what they were using it for. And we found out that a vast majority of people would be using it in the evening in order to help them fall asleep. And they said it really worked. And so we went out and we did a study where we had people meditating with Muse prior to sleep and using a sleep tool that we built. And what we found was that they were sleeping 20% more effectively. So they were falling asleep faster, they were staying asleep, waking up less in the night, etc. Because meditation can truly help your sleep.
Wow. So for those viewers who don't know what Muse is, tell us a little bit more about Muse, which I love, by the way.
Oh, awesome. So Muse is a brain sensing headband that can help you meditate and sleep. It's a slim little device that you wear that tracks your brain during meditation and gives you real-time feedback to know when you're focused, when you're meditating, and when your mind is wandering. So it really trains you to understand that wandering mind that you have and take your mind out of your thoughts and bring it back into meditation and be able to quiet the mind. And then we've built an amazing set of sleep tools that are actually able to give you beautiful experiences with real-time feedback to help you fall asleep and can track your sleep throughout the night, basically as effectively as a sleep lab.
Wow. So how does that actually work? How are you actually tracking the brain?
So this is Muse S, our device that's built for sleep and meditation. And it actually has EEG sensors on the forehead and behind the ears. So these are actually able to track your brain activity, the brain waves that we were talking about before, and identify when your mind is wandering and when your mind is focused. So in a meditation experience, what it's doing is it's giving you a beautiful audio experience, an audio landscape. And as you bring your mind into focused attention, into meditation, the sound quiets and it shifts into this beautiful, glorious experience that reinforces that state of quiet, focused attention. And then in the sleep experiences that we've built, it's actually able to track your wakefulness and change the audio in order to guide your brain into sleep. We call them actually digital sleeping pills because physical sleeping pills are not good for you, but a digital sleeping pill is an audio experience that's actually able to work directly with your brain with guided audio to guide you into sleep. Quite lovely.
Yeah. So you put on headphones, right? And it's an app on your phone.
Exactly. So it connects to an app on your phone, and then you hear the experience either through headphones or just off your phone sitting next to you.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. It's like, because when I was doing with the birds, and that you're in a relaxed state, it makes you want to continue that state, of course, right? And so I think that when you realize you start to learn how your body feels in a relaxed state, because I don't even know if people are body aware, when they're relaxed. I just feel like sometimes like we go to sleep and we're just, what I mean?
Yeah, so you learn how your body feels in a relaxed state and you're reinforced for where your mind is. So it's classic neurofeedback. And so when your mind is in the right state, it gives you audio and reinforcement to say, yes, this is it. This is the state, which allows your brain to intuitively learn the state to be in and allows your conscious awareness to say, hey, okay, that's the state I can get there. Now I understand. All right. Dr. Chris Winter, who is he's called the Sleep Whisperer. He's an awesome sleep doctor. And he would always say, people are like, what state am I supposed to be in when I'm falling asleep? And he's like, here's the Muse. Just use it and get to that state. Go just do that.
Yeah, no, but it's true, right? Sometimes it's such a great tool and it takes the pressure off of knowing where you're supposed to be when or whatever, right? You can just kind of relax and let it do its thing and be like, oh, wow, okay, I am relaxed now. Okay, this is the state that I want to maintain. And it's just a pleasure to kind of hear and listen to as well, right? So if people are really curious more about the connections of sleep and meditation, how meditation can help, are there books that people should be reading? If they want to try Muse, what should they be doing in terms of kind of really people who really want to be proactive, that they understand that sleep is really important, but they just don't know how to get better sleep?
Yeah, so the first thing to do is to understand that sleep is possible, and sleep is possible for you. You know, one of the major reasons that we have difficulty sleeping is because we have so much anxiety around sleep. And so you lie there and you're like, oh my God, I'm not sleeping. Oh no, oh no. And then you start the, cognitive cycle, and then you have the emotions that come around it. So know that that cycle can be broken. It is totally in your power to do that. And there are lots of tools available to do that. With the Muse, we have a beautiful sleep course that actually teaches you how to sleep. It was built by Dr. Alex Korb. He's an awesome neuroscientist, and he guides you step by step in what you do to get good sleep and the best tips for sleep hygiene. And then, of course, there are a world of beautiful guided content and meditations inside of Muse as well as outside of Muse. So if you're somebody who has difficulty shutting down your mind, there are tools like, Headspace and apps on YouTube and channels on YouTube that can give you audio to help distract you. Though if you really want to learn what's going on and how to do it, something that's giving you real-time feedback during your brain's process and showing you what's going on in your brain is obviously an even, more precise tool to use.
Actually, so Muse is not just for sleep meditation. It's for all different kinds of meditation, right? So, I mean, of course, meditation is good, period. And everybody should have a meditation practice in their life, whether it's, 2 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes or whatever it may be. So as we kind of wrap this up, because I don't want people to think that Muse is only for sleep meditation. So what else is it good for?
Sure. So Muse actually comes with a range of meditations. We have what's called our mind meditation. So that teaches you like the real process of focused attention meditation, which can help you be more present in your daily life, be more focused at work, be more able to listen to the conversations you're having, etc. We have heart meditation, which lets you actually tune your interoception, your understanding of your physiology. We have breath meditations that can guide you through different types of breathing to energize you or calm you down or focus you as you need to. And then we have literally hundreds and hundreds of guided meditations for whatever comes up in your life. You're stuck in line, frustrated for 2 minutes, we have a meditation for that. You have a big conversation at work, we've got a meditation for a collection for leadership, another one for employees, and on, all of which can be paired with the real-time biofeedback either from your brain or body so that you can gain deeper insight and deeper practice in building the skill that you then use, because meditation is all about learning the skills that you can use when you're out in the real world to, do all these things better, to listen better, to be with somebody more effectively, to be more productive, whatever it is that you're using your meditation for.
That's great. So if people want to find out more about you and about Muse, you have some articles also about sleep and meditation on your website. So where
Absolutely.
do they go?
Yeah, so on our website, which is choosemuse.com, CHOOSEMUSE.com, there's lots of resources and tips and tricks on how to sleep better, how meditation can help various aspects of your life, what is meditation, why to do it, what happens in the brain during sleep, and on and on. And then if you want to follow me specifically, you can follow on all the socials at Choose Muse or myself, Ariel's Musings on Instagram.
That's awesome. Ariel, thank you so, so much. This has been great.
Thank you. It is my joy and pleasure to share how we can all sleep better. It's hopefully one tiny little way we can make each other's lives a little bit easier.
Agreed. Thank you so much.